Start praying for God's favor over your life. Start praying that God will put people in your life to help you. Even if you don't have the money, God can put people in your life to get you where you need to be. So back in 2016, I had lost my job from a dealership. And at the time, I thought it was the end of the world because it was one of those moments where I felt stuck. I didn't know how to get ahead. I was doing a ton of research and it felt like I ran out of time, basically. And my time is up. And I ended up losing the job before I figured out what I was going to do next. So I remember being so depressed, they put me in a taxi because I wasn't driving at the time. And so I got home, started speaking to a friend from church. And I was feeling so depressed. I was like, how am I going to pay my bills? Yes, there's unemployment, but still, you're like, okay, how am I going to pay my bills down the road? And all of a sudden, my friend just said, Nakia, this is the time for you to spread your wings. You've been talking about wanting to own your own business. And I don't know, they just said that one word and all the depression went away. All that sad feeling went away. Kid you not, the next day I was up and running. Didn't feel any depression, went to the library, I would just read books, try to learn as much about marketing. About a few weeks later, maybe a week later, 2 weeks later, I saw an opportunity on Facebook where someone was teaching how to start an Amazon store. And as much as it sounds obvious where you're like, okay, well, you just jumped into Amazon, that was it. I was actually very conflicted. I had to use my last savings, basically. I was using my last savings to start this business. And I was like, okay, so I can try a new path and see how it goes where I might fail, or I can continue to do the jobs that I hate doing and feel depressed and be in the same spot and never take the risk. And when I thought about it, I don't know, there was something in me where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna believe in myself. And at the time, I didn't know that was going to be the ticket to get me out from where I was going to be. So I ended up working with a coach. I believe that was the first time where I actually believed in myself. It was the first time where I decided to choose myself and not do something out of fear because everyone else was doing. The noble thing that I should have done was just go look for a new job. But that was the first time where I was like, you know what, let me go for it. The first week that I did it, I made my first dollar online. And then within 3 months, I tripled what I paid and made it back. And do you know, when I went back to that coach, he actually told me, I didn't know that you were going to be one of my best students, because he was like, you were so skeptical. And it's just proof that God can change the trajectory of your life like this. He could close one door and open another door. I truly believe that if he didn't close that door and I didn't get let go of that job, I never would have gone for that opportunity, because there was so much comfort. There was so much fear. There was many times where I was going to hire a coach but didn't hire them because I was like, oh, no, I can't risk this. Every time. And I know sometimes I have to admit I can forget this, especially in times where I feel stuck. But you can't look at your circumstances as is, because you don't know what God is getting you ready for, and you don't know what he's planning behind what you cannot see. You don't know what he's planning. Like, I had no idea that this was going to be the way that he took me out. That was going to be the way that I paid off debt. That was going to be the way that I got my first car. I thought I was going to be stuck there forever. It's like that little faith. Like, sometimes we think that we need like this big faith. That little faith and just trusting God. It doesn't need to be grand. Sometimes it's just that little trust. So maybe a year later after COVID, I ended up being in a contract with another job. And I ended up losing that job. Let me back up a bit. So before I got sick in 2019, I felt this strong urge to travel, but I was too scared. And at the time, I was doing Amazon, I was making a lot of money, and I was like, every time I would want to go, I was like, no. I was too nervous to go solo, because it was gonna be the first time I traveled.